It's a bird, it's a plane, it's a frog. A frog? No, it's just the newest episode of the Nerdiest podcast reviewing the most anticipated superhero movie of the year, James Gunn's Superman. But also, stay tuned for the latest news as the Zelda movie got cast, first impressions on DK Bananza, and more. You will not want to miss it. Hello and welcome to the Nerdiest podcast, the show where nerds talk about nerdy things. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Mr. Jackson Glass. I'm joined by my co-host, Ride or Die, as always, the host with the most who's always sleep deprived, Mr. Nick Barrett. And today we're talking about what I would consider one of the most anticipated movies of 2025, and that is James Gunn's Superman movie, the DC. We're talking about the whole movie, giving you a full review with spoilers, so if you have not seen it, maybe come back to this one, or we're just going to spoil it for you. But there's also some news points to hit as the Zelda movie just got cast and the controversy there, and DK Bananza first impressions. But first things first, Mr. Nick, I'm glad we're here. How are you?
I'm good. I'm alive. Honestly, just been playing Donkey Kong. Either playing Donkey Kong or like I scripted 2 videos this week, recorded 2 videos this week, put out so I don't know if anybody's caught on. Maybe you're listening from here, but I started posting on TikTok again. So I've really been trying to like watch the TikTok and make some original stuff for that, which I also recorded yesterday. So a lot of good stuff there. Just a lot of content making. I've finally found like a rhythm that works where I feel like I can still watch a ton of anime. I think I'm currently watching 10 shows with like 10 more on the way.
Holy cow.
And you know what? By golly, I'm going to try to watch them all. I got to commit at some point in my life. So between doing that, playing Donkey Kong, which I'll talk about here in a bit. But yeah, that's me. I'm here. That's about all I have to say.
That's hype. Listen, I have not been doing a whole lot other than work and school, but I'm coming close to the end of school for the summer, and then I'll get a little break before going back to proper school. But I have actually been watching a few things, and I'd like to give a recommendation if you're a Disney fan. This is nerdy. This is pretty this is a section of nerdy we don't normally hit. But if you have Disney Plus and you feel interested at all in Frozen the Broadway musical on Disney Plus, can I just say, no more live action remakes, just Broadway adaptations. Because if you like Frozen like at all, it's like they added like 10 songs and they're all phenomenal. And I'm not one for like directed theater production because I'd rather be in the room, but this one is actually really well done and it's very, very good. So if you're into that at all, I cannot recommend it enough. I give it 5 stars. Other than that, we've also we watched Superman in the theaters, which we will be talking about in a little bit. But I also watched a new movie that was really big this year that we didn't get to cover on the show because it didn't really fit in our regular kind of like demographic, but that would be Sinners. And it was not K-pop Demon Hunters. I'm sorry. I know you really wanted it to be that. Yeah, I saw Sinners. I'm going to say it was very good. I wouldn't consider it a horror movie, but I would consider it a thriller movie. And I think that it is... I gave it 4 out of 5. And some people would call that a sin, to be like not 5 out of 5. But I do think Sinners brings a very different take. It was essentially... If you want to have a conversation about original movies, Sinners is at the forefront of that conversation because you never get original blockbusters anymore. And this was one of the weirdest out there blockbusters that I've seen in actually years. So if you like original movies, go watch Sinners. If you like Disney, go watch the Frozen Broadway musical on Disney Plus. That's pretty much all I've watched. I watched Diary of a Wimpy Kid again.
Go watch K-pop Demon Hunters on Netflix. 4 weeks at #1, baby. Chart-topping soundtrack. Dude, you need to watch it.
Listen,
You need to watch
it's getting to the point. No, it's bleeding into the the general pop culture too, because my feed is starting to be K-pop Demon Hunters.
And I'm not
And I
even
have
sending you
nothing,
anything.
like, you're not even sending me anything. I'm not part of that, like, side of the internet at all. And it's, like, showing me this. Like, it's becoming general knowledge. So, I don't know. Maybe I got to give it a little watch. Also, update to follow. I'm really just meditating and praying about this. I'm considering adding Diary of a Wimpy Kid to my top 10 for movies. Because, listen, if you go back and watch that movie, I'm talking like the 2010 Diary of a Wimpy Kid. There is some actually, like, phenomenal storytelling happening in all three of them. I'm going to rewatch Roderick Rules and see if I would rather have that one. But update to follow, Diary of a Wimpy Kid might be in my top 10 by the end of the week.
All right. That's
Because if you watch
interesting.
it, there is some actual solid storytelling, solid characters, actually really great filmmaking happening in these films. Like, especially the second one, there's really, like, different medium mixing and visual effects that you, like, wouldn't normally think about as a kid, that, like, now as an adult, I'm like, wow, they actually really cared about this movie. So maybe give that one a rewatch. But that's not what we're here to talk about. Mr. Nick, I believe there is some news that has broken
Where do you want to start?
recently.
You want to do DK or you want to do Zelda movie?
Let's do Zelda first.
All right. So, here's the news.
So,
on Wednesday, July 16th.
what about
at
I need my news drop.
Oh, dude, I forgot that we did that because
Come
we
on.
haven't done
We haven't done the news in 5
wiki
ever.
what news time.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
what I thought.
Thank you
That's
for
what I
reminding
thought.
me.
Of
So,
course.
5:39 a.m., July 16th, the official Nintendo Twitter account, randomly, day before Donkey Kong comes out. This is Miyamoto. I'm pleased to announce for the live-action Zelda film that Zelda will be played by Bo Bragason and Link by Benjamin Evan Ainsworth. I really hope I didn't butcher either of those names. I'm very much looking forward to seeing both of them on the big screen, and then continued to say the film is scheduled to be released in theaters on May 7th, 2027. So we are still roughly 2 years away, which is good. That means they still have time to, like, actually make it good, and they're not, like, rushed by
Right.
deadlines or anything, which is something Nintendo does incredibly well, even in their games. Their developers have talked about how when they're making a game, sometimes they do have deadlines, but they're not opposed to moving the deadlines to make a good product. And then sometimes,
Right.
like, the Mario Wonder team had no deadlines. They said, just make a good
Right.
game and let us know when it's done,
Go
and we'll
for
put
it.
it out. So the casting...
Can I ask, like, have you heard of either of these actors?
No. I had to look up both of them. I had no clue who they were. I think Bo Bragason's biggest claim to fame was a Disney Plus show that got canceled.
Canceled.
Yeah, Renegade Nell only has one season, and I think it was a Disney Plus exclusive. Yep. And then, which
Okay.
even then, I'd never heard of this show, ever.
Huh.
And then,
So, you know what's crazy
Where's the
is, according to IMDb, she is credited as a 3D scan model in Kingsglaive Final Fantasy.
yes, I did hear about that this week.
So she was young Luna, which I didn't realize that was a thing. So good work,
And then,
guys.
Benjamin Evan Ainsworth, not really anything too crazy. He voiced Pinocchio in the live-action remake of that.
Okay.
And then there's some other stuff, but really relatively unknown actors. And I
Yeah.
think that is the most ideal situation for this movie.
I
is-
agree.
And if anybody wants to go back, we fan casted the Zelda movie. Neither of these picks were on there, which I think we picked some relatively niche people, because even we didn't go with, like, Tom Holland and Zendaya. Like, we kind of
Right.
tried to keep it a little more niche, but these are, like, even more niche than that. But we talked about in that episode.
I forgot that we did that.
Yeah. Like, right when
oh,
it got
wow. That
announced,
was
we did a
forever
whole
ago.
episode. It was 2 hours long.
Yeah.
But that was something we talked about, was like the ideal path for this movie was to use relatively unknown actors. One, because then you're not having to say, well, now I have to see Tom Holland as Link.
Right.
When it's, no, I see this person as Link, and that's just like their iteration of that character.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not like having to overcome the celebrity hurdle. But also, it gives these two actors like a chance to be in a really big movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Zelda franchise is massive. Zelda is one of the most iconic female characters of all time. And like the Zelda franchise is one of the most iconic of all time. So it now gives these two actors a chance to be brought more into the limelight. This could be career making for them. And I think,
which I also think, no, continue.
It's interesting that they didn't give us like Ganondorf at all. And I think you could, like, if your two main characters are unknown, you could go with like a Dave Bautista or Idris Elba. Like, you could go for a bigger name with Ganondorf so you still have that pull. But then your two main characters, who are also like super young, I think both of them are younger than we are.
Right.
Which is insane.
Kind of like a little scary because we're like quite young for the podcast game.
Right.
Like, you know, most podcasts that we have found like in our niche are like 28 plus, where it's like,
yeah, we're early 20s,
like,
baby.
You know, like we're early, like, so, you know, suck it, boomer. But like,
so yeah, give me some
also,
thoughts. How do you feel?
I think there's an interesting point to be made here about how we're really bad at casting new actors in movies. You think about how the Minecraft movie's main problem that everyone said was they were like, well, this is just Jack Black. Like, we don't see Steve in this character. We just see Jack Black being Jack Black. So I think your point is very valid to be like, no, like, especially because Link as a character is kind of a blank slate. And so when we take, how do you do a film adaptation of like a blank slate character? Because which game is this a Breath of the Wild, air quote, like movie, or
so is it, we don't know.
Because
it could be a direct adaptation of a game, which would also be interesting because
the Zelda timeline is messy.
That, but also Benjamin has brown hair. There is no iteration of Link except the really bad animated TV show that has brown hair. So they could be doing something completely different unless they made him dye his hair. And even the pictures that they posted, I can't tell if these are like stills from the movie that they've taken really out of context, or if they just took these two actors out to like a forest and said, let's do a promo photo shoot real quick. Like,
which is possible.
I don't know.
Yeah. I'm very pro casting unknown actors because, like you said, like it gives them a great shot, like it gives them a chance. It's also, think about what does the future of Hollywood look like if we are only casting the same pool of 50 people forever, and then they're going to retire and some of them are going to eventually pass away, and we're kind of like, oh no, there's no new modern movie star.
Right.
And so it's like, I would say the closest thing we've had to a new movie star is probably Timothée Chalamet, where it's like he kind of like grew up in these roles and like got more of them as he got older, and now he's kind of like the movie star for this era is Timothée Chalamet. So I think that casting these people is honestly huge because it's huge for their career. It's huge for the future of Hollywood as we're continuing to grow outside of this bubble of like the same 50 Hollywood actors. And I'm very pro that because there's so much more talent out there that we're just not pulling from. And Bo Burnham talks about this a lot too, and how he's like, I don't want to see Brad Pitt in your movie because that's Brad Pitt. I just know Brad Pitt as Brad Pitt, and I can't detach Brad Pitt from himself because he's so like huge. And so I think that is kind of another huge pull of indie cinema, is how we want to discover these new people. We want to see them as characters, and it's like really interesting to see such a big company do that. So I'm very, very excited for this cast, and I think that Nintendo is one of those companies that holds their property like so tight to their chest that I guarantee you that they are definitely like without a doubt the best choice for the role, simply because Nintendo does not play when it comes to things like that. Now, did they give Chris Pratt Mario? Yes, but this was a much different context, because when they gave Illumination that movie, they knew the context they were getting into.
Here's the thing, though. This casting has made a lot of people, one, I've seen a handful of people that, like, they didn't cast Tom Holland or, like, some popular woman, which I'll come back to that. I have a whole tangent about that in a second. That they didn't do that. There are people who are saying, oh, I might actually go see this now. Because I think there was a fear that because the Mario movie had Seth Rogen, Charlie Day, Anya Taylor-Joy, Chris Pratt, Jack Black, like all these big names to get butts in seats, like, did they do a good job? Yeah, sure. But also I think that kind of set the expectation that for all of these movies, they're gonna do that. And then when they didn't,
cast.
People thought, okay, well, hold on. They're actually, like, taking this seriously and, like, making a good Zelda movie. But then also, it made a lot of people retroactively go back and say, oh, Miyamoto actually thought Chris Pratt was the best choice for Mario. And he wasn't entirely wrong, because there's also a difference in, like, an animated movie and a live-action movie. An animated movie, you don't have to look at Chris Pratt. You hear his voice, but it's a little easier to suspend that disbelief because you're not looking at him. Whereas in a live-action movie, you're looking at them. Like, you're looking at real people. And that's something that I think anime dubs run into a lot is anime dubs also cast the same, like, 10 people for everything. And it's very hard to get new people in there. And that says a lot more about the cliquish nature of anime dubbing. It's whatever. I watched a whole video about it this week. But I am glad that they cast seemingly unknown people, because I'm also interested to see what they can do. Because if you're not a huge actor, maybe I'm wrong, but there's not as much pressure on you to, like, live up to an expectation. You know what I mean? Like, everyone has expectations of Tom Holland and Brad Pitt. Like, you have an expectation there, but I don't think there's as much.
I think I honestly disagree. I think that is, like, double the expectation, because if I go to see the Zelda movie with Tom Holland, I'm like, well, it wasn't great, but it was Tom Holland. Like, or if when I see the Mario movie, I'm like, well, it wasn't like 10 out of 10, but it was Chris Pratt. Like, it was just Chris Pratt. Where, like, I think when you don't have a name to back up your work, it's kind of like, you're just kind of throwing yourself out there. And especially if you debut, like, your, like, big breakout role is the Zelda movie, and if you screw up Link, then, like, where do you get cast next?
I guess that's
like,
true. I didn't think about that.
I would argue that it's probably even a much bigger expectation on these people, which, like, guys, for the love of God, please be nice. Please be nice to them.
These actors.
Like, if you bully these kids off the internet because his hair isn't blonde and he didn't do this mannerism from this pirated DS game that never saw the light of day and 1 star, because then you don't deserve to see this movie, because they're very clearly trying to make a good movie for Zelda fans. And if you can't, like, get some kind of appreciative value out of that, then, like, what will satisfy you?
Well, that, it's funny you say that. Great segue. Thank you. There are a lot of people who were not cool with this casting. And not for the reason you'd think. So I won't belabor this point too much, because I want to talk about DK and, like, things that are positive, because this is an overwhelmingly negative thing, but it also just makes me really upset. So we get this casting announcement, and there's a lot of people who are celebrating that, relatively unknown people, like, that's going to be great for their career, like, all this stuff, but specifically focusing in on, how do I say her name? I don't want to butcher it. Bo Bragason. Specifically focusing in on her and the fact that they cast her as Zelda. Now, like I said, Zelda, one of the most iconic franchises of all time, and Zelda as a character, like Princess Zelda, one of the most iconic, popular women of pop culture, right? Like, in terms of fictional characters. So having this role, it's like very important because this is a role model that, you know, young girls look up to and like guys have a crush on. Like, let's be real. So like,
Right.
it is really important who you cast in that role. And there was a lot of people who, for some reason or another, thought that Hunter Schafer was the right choice for that role. I'm not here to get into the politics of it all. I don't really care. But there were a lot of people who were really mean and nasty on the internet and said stuff like Hunter Schafer should be allowed to kill Miyamoto for not being cast in the movie. And like just going on this whole tirade about how Hunter Schafer was the best choice, like doing that one side-by-side picture that I'm sure everyone has seen of, well, here's Hunter Schafer and here's Twilight Princess Zelda, and like, oh my gosh, they look exactly alike. But like, there's so much more to casting a character than just, do they look exactly like the character? Because maybe they're not even doing a Twilight Princess movie.
Right.
Like, yeah, sure, he looks like, you know, Twilight Princess Zelda, but also that's not what they're doing with this movie. Like, they clearly wanted to go with someone younger, more feminine. Like, that's what they wanted to do. So the fact that everyone got upset and almost like took this fan casting as gospel, because there was a PR firm that put out a rumor, in air quotes, that Hunter Schafer was being considered for the role by Sony and Nintendo. A lot of people freaked out, thought, oh no, it's so over, the movie's like gonna suck. And then there were other insiders who came out and said, the movie's already been cast, Hunter Schafer was not chosen, the movie's been cast for like 6 months, so this is not like, this is all hearsay. So then like 2 days after that report comes out, it was debunked that the PR firm that put it out was not even connected to Hunter Schafer. They were just like throwing darts at the wall and everybody ran with it. And then that group of people took that as gospel, and then this casting came out and now they're like crashing out because it's not. And they've already moved on. They're like, Hunter Schafer is going to be in the live action Metroid movie. And I'm like, guys, you got to stop. Listen.
You got to stop. It's just blatant misinformation.
Listen, blatant misinformation, but also, let's be real. Maybe controversial take here that gets me canceled. I just want everyone to know, Japan does not view these kind of things the same way that the West does. So why are we shocked that a Japanese company making a movie is going to act in the way that a Japanese company would? Like, that's all I'm saying.
Right. That's all we're gonna say.
Like we could go in and out on all that.
Right.
I'm just saying, do not bully these kids, because especially Bo Bragason, because this, like, I'm sure they were told in advance that this tweet was going out, and like, it's supposed to be all exciting and like, oh my gosh, I get to play Zelda, like, only to be met by like all these people who are like, you should die and you suck and you're not, you know, you're not Hunter Schafer, so you shouldn't be Zelda. Like, stop it, leave her alone. Like, we really need to stop doing that. And that's all I have to say about that. There's a lot more nuance you could get into, but I don't care.
Yeah. So there's that. And then, so that happened the day before. Donkey Kong was announced.
The day before Donkey Kong Bonanza on the Nintendo Switch 2 family of systems. I'll give my first impressions here. As you can see, I did get the game. I pre-ordered it from Amazon. And the only reason I pre-ordered it from Amazon was so that it could get here while I was at work. Because I'm like, I don't want to get off work and then have to go to Best Buy to pick up the physical edition. Like, I'd rather Amazon just drop it off on my front porch. So,
fair.
I will say that. I will also, well, real quick side tangent. I was in the theater yesterday and they played a trailer or like an ad for the Switch 2 showing off Mario Kart and stuff. And these guys come in and sit down behind me while the ad is playing. And one guy was like, oh, like, did you see the Switch 2? And then the other guy's like, yeah. Did you know that, like, you don't own your console? They can brick you for any reason if you buy used games. All of their games are on key cards and everything's so expensive. I kid you not. It took every ounce of fiber in me to not turn around and start a dialogue.
Just be like, no.
Just be like, hold on, pump the brakes. Time out here. the console is just as expensive as the other two consoles on the market and arguably still cheaper than buying a PC. Not all the games are on key cards. I physically own my Switch. The only reason they'd brick it is if you break the rules. So just don't break the rules, forehead. It's not that hard. And finally, the only reason... There was a story of a guy who got his console bricked this week because he bought a used game. And I guess the person who owned that used game had dumped it and like pirated it. And then they sold the cartridge, which we talked about this on the piracy episode. Listen, I don't care if you emulate your games. You can. If I owned, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I can rip it, put it on my computer, and play it on an emulator, so long as I still have the physical game. Because I bought it, you can do whatever you want with it. Nintendo's cool with that. What they have an issue with is you dumping the game after you bought it and then reselling the physical copy, which is why this guy's Switch got bricked, because they saw that like the 2 ID of the same game or whatever was being played. He went to Nintendo support, got it unbanned after providing proof of purchase that like, hey, I did not steal this game. It's that simple. They're literally not punishing people. I mean, they are, but they're undoing it if you say, hey, it wasn't me.
Not me.
It wasn't me. They're like, oh, okay, cool. And then we move on. So like, it was just really funny to sit in front of these people with all like this blatant misinformation.
And you're just like,
and it says a lot about how far the misinformation has come, and like how Nintendo has seemingly done nothing to clarify any of it, which is my biggest issue with them right now. Is that they threw everything out in April and then provided no clarifying information whatsoever. And arguably they don't have to, because they sold 3.5 million units in the first 4 days. So clearly this is not that big of an issue. And they're still selling out every time they come back in stock. But also, like, it would be nice. It would be nice.
Yeah.
But these people will eventually cave when the new Mario game comes out or the new Zelda game comes out, or they'll see some third-party port. They're like one of my coworkers was very adamant about not buying a Switch 2. And then I brought mine into work one day, and he looked at it and he was like, okay, maybe I need to buy a Switch 2. And I'm like, that's the in-person effect, dog. Like, so anyway.
That's why you demo it at Target.
That aside, Donkey Kong Bonanza. I've put in...
What are you thinking?
It just came out on Thursday. We're recording on Saturday. I've put in about 3.5 hours so far. So this really is like first impressions. And one of the things they really try to sell you with the game is that you can destroy everything and anything. And that is true. You can. So I spent 30 minutes destroying the opening area. Like, it drops you in with Donkey Kong in this tiny little room, and you can destroy 95% of the room, and I did.
Sick.
And here's the addicting part. You know how in like Lego games you break everything in the room so you make sure you get all the studs and like you max out? Every time you break rocks, there's little gold pieces hidden in the rocks. So you just like, it's like an addictive substance where you have to keep going to make sure you get all the gold. I don't even know what you used the gold for yet. But I got to get it all. I have like 10,000 gold pieces because I've just been breaking everything. So it is really fun. Arguably, so far, I'm enjoying it a lot more than like Mario Odyssey. And I'm not super far into the story, but it is one of those very like expressive, very animated. Like, I really like DK's new design. I like when we go with overly stylized and animated things because realism is a plague and it's destroying creativity. That's what's destroying creativity, not AI. Endless realism is killing creativity. But no, I've had a lot of fun with it. I am on Sublayer. I'm like in the first area right after the tutorial. I still have Odd Rock. For those who like play the game and know, I have not gotten past that point in the story yet. So I'm still really early on. It is like kind of addicting though, because I keep getting lost. Like, I'm like, I need to go for the objective over there. And then, like, I'll do the little DK sonar, and I'll see, like, a banana or something flash over here. And I'm like, ooh, we're going to go over there. And then going down there does this whole side tangent. And, like, I get lost doing that. And then 20 minutes go by because I'm sitting there beating rocks and, like, trying to destroy the environment. And I'm like, shoot, dude. There went 30 of my 40-minute play session. No more objectives, I guess. So I've, like, had to find myself actively forcing myself to do the story. Yeah. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing because that's how you get more time out of the game and more
Means it's
enjoyment
fun.
out of it. But I'm also like, I'm stuck between like, I want to do the story and progress, but there's that completionist side of me that's like, oh, I don't want to miss anything. Because they also added a skill tree, which is my weakness as a fan of RPGs. They put a freaking skill tree in this game. So I'm like, well, now I got to find all the bananas so I can
Right.
upgrade my skill tree so that I can get all these new abilities.
Bro,
So I'm
not
like,
the
dude.
skill tree.
And they put customization in there. So like DK is blue now instead of having the brown fur. He's blue. He's got a blue tie and blue
Dude.
pants. I'm like, whoa.
Whoa, back up.
You can play
You
as
mean to tell
naked
me-
DK, which is a little crazy because that's what they call it in the game.
For real?
Yeah, they do. Like you can go in the clothing menu and it's like, do you want to put these shorts on, these shorts on, these shorts on? And then there's naked. And I'm like, whoa, this is a game for kids. Whoa.
When he pulls out the Donkey Kong. No, please.
Whoa.
Whoa.
So yeah, overall, really fun game. I do think it works out in this game's favor that we haven't had a Nintendo Direct yet to be like, hey, here's all the new games. Hopefully we'll get one
Right.
this week that the episode comes out or the week after. Like now I need to know. I'm like, okay, I have
Right.
DK and I'm playing it, but now I need to know what the next thing I'm saving up for.
Right.
Because we got a lot of stuff up
What's
in the
next,
air.
guys?
I just want to know. So overall, really fun. I'll keep diving into it, update you guys as we go. But that's my thoughts on
Heck
Donkey
yeah.
Kong Bonanza.
Dude.
Very good game, very
Heck
fun,
yeah.
and like looks gorgeous. By the way, like even in handheld and even on like my TV. I know I said I wasn't a fan of graphics, right? And I'm still not. Like I'm not a graphics
Yeah.
snob where, you know, the game has to run in 4K 60 FPS or I can't play it. You know, like some PC
Right.
people who are like, if it doesn't run at 60, I'm not playing it.
Right.
But there is something real special about like finally having Nintendo games in 4K
Yeah.
and you can tell
You're
the
like,
difference between like what they used to look like on Switch
Yeah.
and what they look like now. And I'm like, dude, that's insane to me. So overall, great game. I'm very excited to keep playing more. So that's all I've got about the Funny Monkey game.
See, you just get 4K of just naked Donkey Kong, and that's all we ever wanted on the Switch 2 was 4K 60 of the Conky Dong, and that's all we
Yeah,
ever.
it was never about like the Xenoblade waifus in 4K. No. Donkey Kong.
You know what we want to see.
That's where it's at.
The Conky Dong is what we're looking for. So, all right. On that bombshell,
On that bombshell.
ladies and gentlemen, if you made it this far in the episode, thank you so much for listening to the Nerdiest podcast. We've had some incredible growth this year, and we've just done some incredible, really great content we're super proud of. So if you are not following us on Instagram at the Nerdiest podcast or on YouTube at the Nerdiest podcast, which is still climbing towards monetization, guys, go watch on YouTube if you haven't. You get to see a video version of our beautiful faces, and there's also merch at thenerdiespodcast.com, and you can follow all of us. All our stuff is in the link in the description down below. Drop a comment if you're on Spotify. Drop a comment if you're on YouTube, whatever you need.
Real quick.
So,
Real quick shout out to all of the dedicated people on YouTube. There's like 3 or 4 of you who comment
Yes.
on every single episode.
we see
Some of you leave paragraph comments, and I know that sounds
Yes.
weird. I appreciate reading every single one.
read it.
Like I like
read 'em.
genuinely. I know I say that when I reply to people, but I do genuinely like
right.
love reading paragraph responses in like, here's my thoughts
Mhm.
on this, here's my thoughts on this. Some people comment multiple times because they're like, I commented on
Right.
this topic and then on this topic and then on this topic. So I do
Yeah.
appreciate every single person who goes in on YouTube and leaves a comment, and even on Spotify, go in and leave a comment. Like I know Jackson does too, but I also like
Mhm.
really appreciate reading that
We
and
do.
having that
We really
dialogue
do.
back and forth. So thank you. Keep leaving comments. To all the people on Instagram and YouTube and TikTok who leave mean comments, I don't appreciate those as
Guys,
much because
if
they're
you're-
mean.
If you're
but
not up to date, our piracy episode has sparked some controversy on the internet.
yeah,
Um,
I mean,
and
we knew that was gonna
apparently-
happen though. Like
We knew it was gonna happen, but also like, if you have the time, here's my take. This is the only statement I will ever make about being called slurs on an Instagram reel all week. This is the only comment you will make, so pay attention. All right, I'll give you a second to be ready. Okay, cool. If you have the time to comment a slur on someone you've never ever heard of, never met in your life on an Instagram reel about how you're too poor to afford a Nintendo game or a streaming service or something. Maybe you should take your time to get a job, and then you could afford a single video game. Maybe you could afford a single streaming service, and you wouldn't have to pirate all of your things. Yikes.
He said it.
Because all these comments are like, get a job. Oh, get a job. And I'm like, I have a job. I can afford my games to buy legally. Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a job.
I have a job. That's why I have a Switch too, and you don't. Suck it, fool.
I saw this really funny video right like the weekend the Switch 2 came out, and it was just this guy in his car, and he was like he said, oh, the Switch 2 is so expensive, get a job, you're poor, get a job. And he like whipped out his Switch 2 and he's like, you're poor, get a job
application.
You're poor. Anyway, we joke, we kid, we appreciate, we just anyway,
okay, I don't appreciate the mean comments because I don't appreciate but I do appreciate them for boosting the engagement. So
yeah, no, that is the biggest misconception about hate commenting, is all you're doing is boosting the analytics for the people you hate.
You're making me succeed more.
If you hate me, just keep scrolling. That is the meanest thing you could do for me. There you go.
Don't comment. Don't even dislike. Because like on YouTube Shorts, when you dislike, that's still engagement.
That's still analytics, guys.
So just don't say anything. Just
you know how moving. Like you know how they say like there's no such thing as bad publicity? This is what you're doing.
No such thing as bad engagement.
Dislike it. Gosh, it's all the same metrics for the internet. None of this is real. Anyway.
It's all a bunch of ones and zeros generated by AI anyway.
That's what I'm saying. So, Superman.
He's a man
I would
of
argue
super steel.
Super. He helps people, and
and he's bulletproof.
Guys, here's the thing: if you don't follow me on Letterboxd, let me read you my review.
Oh yeah, I gotta read my review too because I just put it in this morning.
I was gonna say I didn't. Oh yes. You
didn't see mine because it didn't exist until this morning.
Gosh, Letterboxd is so hard to navigate on the browser. Okay, I said seemingly indestructible man gets the crap beat out of him because of his dog. Close enough. Welcome back, John Wick. So Superman, very anticipated film for the year because this was the one. It's pretty much like, I would argue it's like the movie of the summer. Unless you have some disagreement, because otherwise, I mean, there was How to Train Your Dragon. There was the Smurfs. No, there's Jurassic World. No. So what? It's Superman because it's James Gunn. DC is like trying to make a comeback, and so here we are. Superman. What are your thoughts? Credits roll. What are your thoughts? And you saw it last night.
I did.
So
saw
you're
it last
fresh.
night in a theater with a bunch of rowdy teenagers behind me, which was also testing my patience. Last night was a very like major test of strength. But I credits rolled. Did you stay for both post-credit scenes?
I did.
They were kind of nothing burgers on both of them, which we've talked about at length. I really need them to stop doing nothing burger post-credit scenes. Like
I'd rather just...
I don't care if I sat all the way through the credits if there's like, oh, we're setting up our next big villain or like we're teasing the next movie. Like, I don't want to see you set up like a joke between Superman and Mr. Terrific. Like, stop it.
Right.
I sat all the way through the credits.
But it was also like... It almost feels like it's a requirement to have a post-credit scene, and I just don't think that's true.
Yeah, like at least the Sonic movies set something up. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like
I feel like we lost the point of the post-credit scene.
We did. Now,
but
credits rolled. I was sufficiently impressed. Like, I had seen a lot of stuff this week about, or even like last week, I guess, because the movie came out last week. There was a lot of press leading up to the movie about like, oh, well, I don't even remember which Gunn said it, but someone said like it's a super pro-immigration movie or whatever, blah, blah, whatever. I don't care. I just know, real quick call out, Superman was not woke, guys. Don't worry. It's not. Don't listen to the media. It's not. woke. Okay, it's
No.
just a movie,
Right.
like, and a good movie at that. And it was really frustrating to me that like all the right wing people were like, "Oh, they said Superman's an immigrant, so the movie's woke, so don't go see it." And I'm like, "All right, well, tell me you know nothing
All
about
right.
Superman without telling me you know nothing about Superman."
Right.
That's kind of the whole point.
Right.
And I'm like, okay,
Anyway.
I'm not going down that rabbit trail. I'm just frustrated
Does
that that's
he
the way
try
they
to
went.
stop war in the Middle East? Potentially, yes.
Potentially.
That is part of the movie, but
That's anti-American. We're supposed to
that
be
is-
there. That was such a like interesting
such a
plot
funny
point that they put
subplot.
in the movie of like, well, he went and did this thing and like stopped
Okay.
this war. And everyone was like, okay, that's good. But also like, did you consult
But
with the
also, like,
president?
what
Did you?
the
He's like,
frick?
I'm just trying to help people, man. I don't want people to
Okay.
die.
Listen, here's my thing. Generally, I loved this movie.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was really great. Just I don't have much more initial reaction other than like, oh, that was quite good.
Yeah.
I would say that I think it was hyped up a little more than I liked it. I think other people liked it a little more than I did. And that might be my like I don't have a super huge connection to Superman. I'm not the DC guy. Like I didn't grow up on not really. Like I had some Superman toys and I had a Superman t-shirt, but in the way that everyone had like
Right.
a Batman t-shirt.
Yeah.
But like I wasn't like the Batman guy.
I was Clark Kent for
Um,
Halloween one year. I killed it.
Right. And it's just, oh, I'm sure you were sexy. So the whole thing was just like, but like, and it was really interesting because is it David Cornswab? Because his name.
Cornswab? I don't think that's right. I think it's Cornsweat.
Cornsweat. There it is. David Cornsweat.
He has some really good takes about Star Wars. I don't know if you've seen
Listen,
those clips.
Here's
I'm
the
like,
thing.
dude, he's cooking.
Yes. David Cornsweat was maybe the best casting choice I've seen in the last year. Like, he was a phenomenal Superman. And my overall take is I think David Cornsweat is he is a like 10 out of 10 Superman in like a 7 out of 10 Superman movie, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think as Superman, he is phenomenal. It was so just like wholesome and like positive, and I think here's my big thing. I think at some point comic book movies stopped being comic book movies and they started being superhero movies. And they became very dark, they became very cynical, they became
Yes.
very like the world is going to end, like what's the point of life, all this stuff, where Superman feels like such a good return to form, where we can go back to these fun superheroes. Like we had this huge trend of like superheroes being the villains. It was the boys, it was the Thunderbolts, it was which like Thunderbolts not as much, but it's like this whole trend of Batman v Superman, and even like Civil War, and like Endgame kind of did that, but like not as much. But it was like the anti-hero was the huge deal, and it was Deadpool, and it was like gritty and dark and cynical and like, the world sucks and this. Where it's like, that has never been James Gunn. Like,
No.
James Gunn has never been the dark, gritty, cynical guy. He did, Guardians of the Galaxy, but even like, he can dabble in it. He did like the Suicide Squad, and so like he's not immune, but that's not his go-to.
Right.
Where I feel like Superman was very James Gunn. It was painfully James Gunn. He is someone who is he's so true to his style that I appreciate it, but I think that sometimes he might I wonder how he would work with a co-director. Because there's a couple things that I'm like, it is so James Gunn that it hurts the story a little bit. Where I think that he needs to just turn the James Gunnness from like a 90 to like a 75. But I also will say, I don't feel like this movie was Guardians of the Galaxy but DC.
Yeah.
And that's what I was afraid of. I thought it was going to be really quippy and goofy and silly and all this stuff. And it really like... the tone of the movie was so refreshing and so consistent and so well balanced to being like, this is fun. Like, it's fun. It's not, but I never thought that it was silly. Like, it was very like, this is serious, this is real, but being serious and real doesn't mean that you have to be gritty and dark and depressing and like just depraved. Like, so I felt like the tone landed very well, and I think they handled their characters very well. I think my biggest thing, this is my biggest like gripe with the movie that keeps it from being like more like a 4 or 5 star, because my review was 3.5 out of 5. Like, I'm like 7 out of 10, like great. But I think what keeps it from me is I think the story, and I'm curious what you think about this. I think the story structure was maybe a little messy. And I think that we hit like a peak point, and then we were like, okay, and I was like, cool, we're going to like get into the third act and it's going to peak again. But then it was like, oh, we're down now. And then it was a peak again, and then it was down. And then it was a peak again, and then it was down. To the point where I almost felt like there was like 5 climaxes in the story, and none of them were more of a climax than the last.
Right.
And I felt like they were all hitting about the same point, just over and over again.
Yeah, no, I can see that. I think I'm gonna back up for just a second here.
Back up.
And I want to talk about what you were saying about how we hit a period of superhero movies where they were really dark, gritty, and I think the word you might be looking for is nihilistic. Where, you know, you do have, like, even just look at the difference between Man of Steel and this Superman movie. Man of Steel was a very dark Superman movie. It was very undersaturated intentionally, and kind of gave you this side of Superman where he, like, killed General Zod at the end. Like, that's weird when Superman is supposed to be this, like, hopeful, optimistic, like, that gritty tone works great for Batman, worked great for the Dark Knight trilogy, worked great for The Batman with Robert Pattinson, but it doesn't work with a Superman movie because that's not how his character is coded. His character is coded to be this hopeful ray of light that makes people feel more hopeful, and that was something they touched on a lot in this movie, was like, you know, those people in the Middle East who he went and saved them, and like they're trying to raise the flag while these, you know, soldiers are coming in to kill them. Like, they're hoping that Superman comes and saves them. And even the people in Metropolis who are like, oh my gosh, Superman's here. Like, that's so exciting. And like how demoralizing it was to see him get beat at the very beginning of the movie. So, and I've seen a lot of people say that like watching Superman made them leave the theater wanting to be a better person. And like, especially in the male demographic of like, I helped a lady carry in her groceries today, and posting the picture of like him smiling in the chair of like, I think men just needed a good role model who is hopeful and optimistic and like, hey, things might look bad. Like, that's kind of his speech to Lex Luthor at the end of the movie. Like, I'm as human as anyone. I might mess up. I might, you know, fumble, but I still I still get up every day and put one foot in front of the other and try to be the best person that I can be. And like, that's a message you don't really see in movies anymore. So I think that's what we needed from Superman, was like the hopeful, optimistic, you know, saturated, like comic booky movie. Because the trend, I mean, look at Marvel movies. Like, they're literally dark. 90% of them are dark, nihilistic. That's kind of what Thunderbolts was about. And like, I think people are sick of that. Like, I think we get enough of that nihilism in the real world, and we go to movies for escapism, not necessarily realism. So I think this movie runs that very well and handles that very well. Now, does that mean that the next Batman movie needs to be oversaturated and have those same themes? No, because that's not Batman's character, right? He is the more grounded, gritty, realistic. Like, we just need to get back into the habit of going back to the original characters and seeing, hey, Batman's this way, Superman's this way. That's why they complement each other. And I thought it was really interesting that Superman didn't want to kill anyone. Like, because it's not his thing. Like, even if you look at all those like meta people that he beat up with Krypto, all of them were still moving when they hit the ground. Like,
Right.
they weren't dead. Like, yeah, he knocked that one guy's teeth out, but like, and arguably the only person he killed was the clone of himself. But was that really like
Right.
a person? Like,
Right.
so you can like make an argument there. And I think
Right.
that's really good because when he fought that giant monster, I thought like, oh, what a like weak mindset to not want to kill the giant monster that's
Right.
destroying the city. But he was like, it's not even that he didn't want to kill it. He just didn't want
Right.
to kill it in the middle of this populated city. He's like, can we maybe
Right.
get it out of here? And then if you're going to kill it, maybe kill it in a less painful way. Like,
Right.
I don't know, man.
You know, because at the same way that was still like a monster, it was still a danger. It was still like, it wasn't a person. Like, you know,
Right.
Like, he was still, and I think that you're hitting on such an important point that people are so sick of nihilistic movies. They're so sick of the world is ending, we're all gonna die, what's the point, like, it's whatever. And I think that this was exactly what we needed, was the male role model of, hey, maybe superheroes are supposed to be superheroes. Like, superheroes are back to being superheroes. And I saw a really good meme that was a really interesting comparison where it was like when the Batman came out and everyone was like, oh my gosh, he's literally me. Like, I'm so edgy and, you know, just far from the world and they don't get me. But then it was compared it to this Superman and it said, it was the guy, he said, I have to be like him.
Yeah.
And it's like giving that positive role model where I was like, hey, maybe this is what movies are about. And I keep seeing like all these stories of like this like little boy next to me in the theater like would jump up and freak out when Superman did something heroic, and like it was this whole like it was like his childhood moment, like wow. And I'm just like, isn't that the point? Like, we look at the old like Captain America movie and how heroic and honorable he was. Like that first Avenger movie where it's like, oh, I want to be like him. Like, that's
Right.
a role model for me. Or even like that carries through, like Marvel kind of goes up and down based on that tone. But like even at the end of Endgame, when it's like Iron Man is so heroic and sacrificial.
Right.
And it's just like, wow, like that's impactful for us. Those character moments are impactful for us. And I think that DC has never hit that moment. They have never hit that tone ever. Like, maybe in the old, not under Zack Snyder, not under like in the modern sense of the DCU.
Because they came in with Man of Steel, and Man of Steel was like, oh, he's dark and edgy and sad like Batman.
Right.
And it's like, what? That doesn't feel right.
What's the
like,
point? Which is hard because I feel like Henry Cavill was a good Superman, but he was not given the script that could have been.
Right, like he was just
good.
given a bad script. Because like Henry
Right.
Cavill's a good actor. I don't think
Right,
he
he's
did
great.
a bad performance in Man of Steel. I just don't think
No.
that was the right Superman
Tone
performance. Because then even if you
Also-
follow it forward in like Batman versus Superman and like
Nah.
what's the other one that he was in? Justice League, right?
Yeah.
Like it's still
No.
wildly like there are so many different problems with those movies.
Right.
And I think
Also, I'm tired of pretending Zack Snyder like makes good movies.
Yeah, can
like,
we stop?
Why are we
someone was
falling
like,
at the
what if
feet of
Zack Snyder goes and praises the new Superman movie? Like, then what? Like, what
Yeah.
happens to these Snyder fans who are like, James Gunn is awful. He added too much color to my movie. How am I supposed to watch it now? It's
Right.
not in black and white.
Right.
I will say, and this is the last thing I'll say, and then I want to go back to what you were saying about the story.
Yeah.
I think in talking about male role models, I think we've, as a society, especially in like Western media, because I'm going to do a whole video about this more on the anime side of things, but
Mhm.
just in Western media, we've lost that really strong, positive male role
Mhm.
model. Because to your point, we used to have like Captain America, who was this like, oh, I want to be like him. He's very honorable and like stands
Mhm.
for his values. And even Iron Man to a certain extent. Like, you look at these key male figures in these movies and like you want to be like them and you want to be
Mhm.
a better person. And then for a while, we kind of lost that of like
Mhm.
men became very belligerent and not super honorable, and you look at stuff like The Boys, where they're all trying to scam each other and they're all trying to like kill each other, and you even look at stuff like Family Guy and The Simpsons, right, where the dads and the men are all like these bumbling idiots that have no clue what they're doing, and then that just becomes your expectation, which is why I think a lot of men gravitated towards anime, because in anime you do have those positive male role models who are always working out to be a better version of themselves. They always want to be honorable and upstanding. So I think Superman now comes in and fulfills the Western side of that, because that's what Superman was supposed to be originally. So like now we've gone all the way back to the original of like, hey, Superman's not perfect. Sometimes he gets a little upset. Sometimes he, yells at his girlfriend, but then he goes back and he apologizes because he admitted that he wasn't wrong. Like he didn't sit in that. And I think a lot of other male characters would be like, well, I wasn't wrong. She was in the wrong. And like, it would have been this whole back and forth drama. But the fact that not only did they fight, which is okay because people fight, that's how it goes, but they both went back and apologized like, hey, I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have done that. And then they reconciled and figured it out. And not even by the end of the movie. Like, they reconciled before he went and turned himself in at like the midpoint. So I think that's also a really good, like, hey, if you're wrong, you need to go apologize. So I just think Superman hits that demographic really well, and it
fills the gap that we needed,
desperately needed. But to your point about the story, I don't know, it felt a little disjointed at times. Like we were kind of just moving from one thing to the other. And on one hand, I appreciate that this wasn't an origin movie. They kind of went the Spider-Man Homecoming route, where you already know the basics about Superman. You know he's from Krypton. You know he was raised in Smallville. You know that he's Superman. You know he's Clark Kent. You know he's going to date Lois Lane. So we're just going to get all that out of the way at the very beginning. And then boom, here we are.
You're in. Yeah.
So, and like we know Lex Luthor's the bad guy, like all of that, right? But I also think it suffered a little bit from not showing us how those things got established.
Yeah.
Like I think not showing us, even in a montage, how he got established as Superman. How did people react when this like meta-human comes out of nowhere? How did Clark Kent win over Lois Lane and then trust her enough to tell her that he's Superman? Because like that's a big deal.
Because they'd only been together for 3 months. He was celebrating their 3-month anniversary when he was cooking for her, and she had just like knew he was Superman.
Right.
And I was like, bro, like, don't you feel like that's like a year in?
Yeah, don't you feel like
conversation?
That?
Like,
I don't know. So
I may be wrong, but
to like curb that stuff out and not, not show that, I think we lost a little bit of that. Where it would have been nice to see that. But I don't think it like hurt the movie too terribly much.
No.
I also felt a little jolted that like we just start the movie on a fat L. Like I don't know. I'm not saying he shouldn't have lost. I'm just saying that Superman was like consistently taking L's this movie.
Right.
Because it's like he gets beat in by the hammer at the beginning, and then he gets beat down right after he heals, and then he gets beat down when the video comes out that like your parents are evil, which is a whole thing. I talked to my girlfriend about this because she's really into the comics and stuff, and she said that is not in the comics at all, ever. That is like a totally new thing that they added, which is so interesting. But also there's like a whole point. I'm like all over the place, but like the fact that his parents sent him there to conquer Earth, which is a very like Invincible-esque trope, which was a weird thing because like Invincible is kind of inspired by Superman. So for Superman to take that, I don't know. But the fact that
Invincible
his parents
is another example of like
gritty nihilism,
like negative, gritty, nihilistic male archetype.
So, but the fact that his parents sent him there to take over Earth, and like they even say take as many wives as you want, have your harem, repopulate Krypton in a way. I really loved the conversation he had with his dad at the end, where his dad was like, "Hey, what you wanted the latter half of that message to be says more about you as a person than anything the latter half of that message could ever tell you." because
Right.
that's not who you are. Like, yes, that's what they sent you here for, but what have you done while you're here? Like,
Right.
you've saved people. You're trying to help humanity. You're trying to be a good person. And, like, I just think that's so incredible because it would have been very
Right.
easy for him to be like, well, this is what they sent me here to do, so I'm going to start doing that. Like, he
Right.
never compromised his own character because of anything that anyone said he had to do. He stayed
Right.
true to his morals and his beliefs till the very end. Like, he didn't even kill Lex Luthor, who, like,
No.
seemingly ruined his life and did all
Right.
of these terrible things. Like, nope, that's not what I stand for.
Yeah.
So you need to not, like, you need to just go to jail.
The trope of like becoming more than what you were meant to be is a very common trope. Like, that's not a brand new thing for stories, but I thought it was handled very incredibly well. And honestly, I was kind of shocked because when it came out that they were like, oh, he decrypted the second half of the message and it said this, I was like, well, that's just fake news. Like, it's false information, like
Right.
whatever. And then even Mr. Fantastic was like, well, I know these data guys and they wouldn't lie. And I was like, yeah, but they're lying, right? Come on, like, they're lying.
I wouldn't put it past Lex Luthor to pay them off to lie.
Right,
Like,
no, for real. And I was like, I don't think I got it until closer to the end that I was like, oh, it was actually real.
Yeah, like that was
They
legit.
actually said that. And I was like, oh. And I get the message, so I'm like, okay, that was a good decision. Like, I get the decision, but I'm also like, I don't know if I needed that decision. Like, part of me really just wanted them to be good. Like,
Right.
and I understand the whole arc of like more than you were meant for, and you know, I don't want to be like, I have to overcome what Bradley Cooper sent me here for, and
That's
just
who
like,
that
all this
was.
stuff.
I thought he looked
Yeah.
familiar.
Dude, that's freaking Rocket Raccoon. James Gunn keeps the tight circle. Like, he really does.
Can't believe we didn't get a Chris Pratt cameo.
Also, friggin' Peacemaker in this movie being there, like, that was funny. That was really funny. I also think, and I'm curious what you thought about this, how the true villain of this movie was like media, and it
Yeah.
was misinformation, and it was like, that was Lex Luthor's entire strategy as a villain, was just misinformation. And I'm curious what you thought about that, because I was like, oh, this is and just Lex Luthor as a whole, like, Nicholas Hoult was kind of a highlight of the movie.
Hater
Like,
of the
he was
century, dude.
fantastic. He was fantastic. Like, near the end, I actually started to be like, oh, like, I feel bad for him. Like, he was such a good villain, and like so good. And then I also think he was one of the smartest villains I've seen in a very long time, because he was like, I don't need to pretend that I'm
He's like,
all
I'm not.
powerful and all this. He's like, I'm not controlling. Like, I just let them run with their own theories, and then I just like push their theories, which is so cool because that's so much more realistic. Because when there's this whole thing about like, well, there's election fraud, and there's this whole like, hey, guess what? You can sway an election with Facebook ads way more than election fraud, than hacking an election can.
Yeah.
Which is proven true. So like, him doing this, using the misinformation, and like, this was such a smart and intentional use of a villain in the internet era. And I thought that was a really just smart, good interpretation of that.
Can we talk about something that made me like audibly laugh in the theater?
Oh gosh.
Can we talk about his monkey farm of like hate bots online? Dude, that
Dude,
made me,
I
when they were
was
like
like-
going past, and he's like, huh, and this is my monkey farm where I've trained them to badmouth you online 24/7. I'm like, dude, that's so funny.
There ain't no. I was like, these are the people commenting on my piracy video. This is it.
I'm like,
I
dude,
was like,
there's no
Are you
way he
freaking
has an
kidding me?
entire monkey farm
dude.
dedicated to
He
hating
was just-
Superman. Lex Luthor, hater of the century, dude.
Hater of the century.
I aspire to feel that passionately about something. Not necessarily in hating it, but like just the sheer level of dedication he has to it, where he's like, I hate you. And it's not. And I love that at the end he was like, I hate you because, like, he's envious. And Superman's like, well, you're just jealous. And he's like, yeah, I am. Like,
I am.
That's true. Because, and then he starts listening like Galileo and all these people like who are great and inspirational, like, but they didn't just crash land here and become fawned over by the masses, the masses. He's more upset at the fact that like Superman just showed up and didn't really have to work for any of his fame.
Right.
Which I can kind of understand that. Crash Out justified in a way.
No, I get it.
He's like so funny though, where he's like,
how'd
he get out? And he just keeps knocking that cup on the floor for the people to pick up. I'm like, dude, like, what is wrong with you? You got to stop.
I also, but here's the thing. It's also like shown in tandem. Like you can compare that to Superman crashing out too. Like when there's like, where's the dog?
Yeah.
And
he's like, where's my dog?
I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, that was like the ultimate rage bait. Like that was like the like,
dude, it was so
that
funny.
was rage bait 101. He was like, what do you mean? What dog? And he like throws the table.
See,
like,
and then he used it because there was someone sitting there in the thing recording, and then he like flipped it. Right. Because he didn't have to say, oh yeah, I broke into your house and kidnapped your dog. Like,
he was just like, what dog?
He's like,
that's
what
why
dog?
he's so smart. That's why it was so smart. He's like, where's that freaking dog? And he just like throws the and I was like, one, another valid crash out. Two, and I thought of this meme. It was so funny. I was like, that one kid, you know that one kid in high school when someone's like, oh, I got your hat, and then they just get like unbridled rage for no reason.
Where's my hat?
Just like, give me my freaking hat, dog. And I was just like, oh my.
And you gotta play it cool. Be like, what hat?
What hat?
What are you talking about?
It's like, dog.
You gotta chill, dog.
So funny. Okay, can I also just say, this is another kind of issue I had with the story. There's 2 points that I was just kind of like, I don't know if that was like really a great choice. One, I really like, I get it, and I love the sentiment of he's like, I'm gonna turn myself in so I can find the dog. And I also love that one, it wasn't even his dog, and two, she was like, you're going back for the dog? And he said, yeah. And he's not even like a good dog either. Like,
but he's
that
alone.
Was so funny. But he's alone. And I was like, oh, the heart of that was so beautiful. Like, it was such an incredible character moment for him. But I was also like, in the theater, like, he turns himself in, and I was like, really? Like, he turned himself in? Like, I don't...
See, but I feel like that is within his character of like he's trying to do the right thing, and the right thing would be to turn himself in, even if just to talk to someone and clear up the misinformation.
Right.
He didn't know he was going to get thrown into a pocket dimension with a guy who can make kryptonite out of his arm.
Right. And I think that like in that context, I think it's fair. But when I was in the theater, I was like, I don't know if that really makes the most sense just to be like, take me. And I was just like,
and then he like starts smashing him
also,
into the ground. He's like, is this necessary?
He's like, is this necessary?
I'm here. I'm willingly coming in. You didn't catch me.
I thought of that. I immediately thought of that scene from Shrek where he takes the grinds the pepper into his face because they don't have pepper spray. And he like grinds paper and he's like, police brutality. But the other thing was, what did you think about Superman's clone? Like, because I was like, the whole, like, the only person who can fight Superman is Superman. Like, sure. And also, like, it validates a lot of, like, Lex Luthor's obsessive behavior.
Yeah, like
it's
his
yes, that makes sense.
Obsession.
But
I loved his comment where he's, like, in the box. And Superman's like, your obsession with me is getting a little creepy. And he's like, tall, dark, and Martian, not my type. And then walks away. and he's like, Kryptonian.
So
he's like, same thing. It just moves on. Like, it's such a throwaway line.
So funny. Their chemistry is great. Like, I hope they do
it's
another
so
movie
good.
together.
I love how you can see the unbridled, like, when everything came crashing down. I will answer your question. When everything came crashing down on Lex at the end, and like they just do that close up of him like tearing up.
Yeah,
and it's almost
that's
like
when it got me.
You can see the like how the hatred has just doubled down on itself. It is like it, and he gets in the car, right? Like puts him in the car, and he's sitting there like silent. He does not say another word the
Yes.
rest of the movie. You're like, oh, he's
Oh,
cooking something
no.
up that's so devious. Like, I miss
Yes.
having like genuine villains in movies.
Yes,
Like Lex
for
Luthor was
real.
evil. He brought this innocent guy in who runs a food stand and was like,
Right.
ooh, Russian
All right.
roulette, bang. Oh, we missed that one.
Right.
Bang. Oh,
Oops.
I thought that was gonna go on a little longer. My bad. And then he like moves
Anyway,
on. Like,
right.
whoa.
Like he was evil. Like he was evil. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I felt about the clone. Like cloning in movies, I usually feel is kind of cheap. But I don't know if you felt the same way.
So I thought going into it that it wasn't a clone. One, I thought it was like a super intelligent robot that they had just put
Right.
in like a thing.
Right.
But I thought, because I knew Supergirl was in the movie, and I
Yeah.
thought she was the one in the suit. Like
Right.
Lex Luthor had brainwashed her or something.
Right.
And that's why she was able to go like toe to toe with Superman, because she's also Kryptonian and can do all that stuff. I thought the clone might have been a little bit of a cheap way out, like, especially because it's just a one-off that
right. I
like,
was
will
okay.
seemingly not come back, and there was no like. I guess the only like foreshadowing of it was that they opened the Fortress of Solitude. Like that was it.
Yeah.
And there was no other like even off comment that Lux was able
Right.
to
Clone him.
clone anything. Like they
Right.
talked a lot about his freaky science with the portals and stuff, but
Right.
they never
cloning.
dived into the cloning, so I felt like it was a little kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah. That wasn't my favorite. I thought it could, like, we could have.
Could have been worse though.
I just thought it was a little cheap. It could have been worse. I don't have like a solution.
Because
I don't
Lex
have,
Luthor's
another
like the
suggestion.
techie guy. Like he obviously can't
Right,
go
you know.
par for par with Superman
Of
because he's just a
course,
like
right.
scrawny little business guy. So he's
Right.
got to come up with other stuff.
Right.
Which maybe if we
So-
ever get a Superman 2, like you'll bring in the General Zod type stuff like they had in Man of
Right.
Steel, where okay, well now that
Right.
is a Kryptonian going par for par with Superman. That was
Right.
the one thing that I think Man of Steel might have done better is give Superman more opportunities to fight. I don't think he got to fight
Yeah.
enough in this movie because he had that one fight at the beginning where he got like absolutely walloped, had that fight right after where he gets absolutely walloped, has that fight with the monster where the Justice Gang just kind of comes in and steals the show, and then after that, he turns himself in, gets stuck in the box, has to fight the robots on the way out, but he's really got to protect the kids, so he's not really fighting at his full
Right.
potential.
Right.
So you never really get to see him fight at his full potential until the very end of the movie in the
Right.
final fight. And even
Yeah.
then, he's kind of nerfed because like they shoved all those nanites in his like
Yeah.
mouth and lungs and stuff,
Which was terrifying.
disgusting.
I was like,
That's
like
terrifying.
I like felt myself not breathing. Like I was like,
So like, I don't know. I just think it's. I don't know. It's also like
I'm
how
curious
did,
to see more.
I'm a little more upset that Superman didn't catch on. That like
yeah.
this other like Ultraman or whatever they called it was like doing all
Right.
the same moves. I'm like, how? Like,
It-
dude, learn something new. Like I was
Right.
hopeful he
I
would
don't know.
throughout the course of the movie like learn a new skill or something
right.
that would give him the edge over the
over
the
robot, or
clone.
The clone.
And then he didn't.
Yeah.
And he just kept getting bodied.
so-
I'm like, dude, I'm sick of seeing Superman get bodied. Like,
Yeah.
I just
Like,
wanted to see him
let him
fight
body
more
someone.
and do like more
Right.
cool stuff. Because I think a lot of the
Right.
like seeing Superman fight cool stuff and do cool stuff was in that. What was it 3 years since he had been Superman?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of your
Yeah.
cool stuff was there. So we kind of came in at a midpoint, which is why I think that
Yeah.
not having that hurt it.
The intro. Mhm.
So
that makes sense.
I don't know.
I also like. Yeah, I can agree. I think that his character arc, the take on this one was his character arc was much more emotional than it was, like physical.
Yeah.
Or like in his like fighting and stuff like that. So I think it was more just the take, the interpretation that James Gunn had on the character. But I think I could agree, like it could have done with some more. But on the same hand, I'm like, I think it maybe could have shaved like 15 minutes somewhere. Like, I think it went a little long.
I don't know. I feel like they could have added 15 minutes.
I think
feel
they
like if
could
you
have
restructured,
changed 15 minutes.
you could have.
It could have been restructured.
You
to
could have
work
gotten a little
better.
more bang for your buck on the
Yeah.
runtime.
Right. I can agree with that. And it's kind of interesting because I'm like, those things are what's keeping it from 5 stars for me. Like, because I'm like 3.5. Like, great movie. Like 7 out of 10. Like, I would watch it again, and I'd show my kids. Like, and also, and I'm curious as we kind of like wrap up, like, what do you think this means for the future of DC? What does it mean for the future of Marvel? And what do you think this means for the future of like the superhero genre as a genre that has been stupidly saturated over the last like 10 years? Like, how does this affect the future of all of that?
So, one side note, I will just throw this out there as an aside. I really liked Lois Lane.
Yes.
I liked her, and the guy they chose to play Jimmy, like his boundless riz being the ultimate plot device, I think was incredible. But I think for DC, this is a very good start. I'm not like DC doesn't have, I don't think they're at the same point where like peak Marvel, you could go see any Marvel movie off of like no trailer aside from knowing like generally what it was about.
And it'd be fire.
Right, like you'd know it'd be good. I don't think they're there, but I think they're off to a good start. If they can keep this same cadence up with their future movies, I think they'll be in a good spot, especially with where Marvel's at right now. But for DC, I think James Gunn will take them in a good direction because he seems to know what he's doing. It may not be the most comic accurate thing, but at least it's a good movie, and they're trying to do something good. So I'm interested to see how James Gunn like directs the DC films from here on out, because I know like he's not directing everything. He's kind of in a more like Kevin Feige role where he's over all of the DC stuff. And he just kind of like kicked everything off with Superman. Yeah. So I'm interested to see where that goes. I think for Marvel, if this movie is a critical success in terms of like box office and all that, it might force Marvel to go back to the drawing board. But I also don't think Marvel thinks they're doing anything wrong. Like, I don't think they have enough self-awareness to self-diagnose and see that what they're doing isn't working, aside from like, oh, well, we put gay people in our movie so people don't want to go see it, or we put like a woman in the lead so people don't want to go see it. Like, obviously that's why people don't like it, not because it's not good. Like, so I think that's a bigger problem with Disney as a whole, is Disney is very tone deaf and does not want to read the room and acknowledge that what they're doing isn't great across the board.
Just isn't working.
Like, they started filming Avengers Doomsday and they have no clue what the third act is because they got to hit that 2026 release date. I'm like, how?
How do you do that?
How do you start filming before you have a script lock? Like, what are you talking about?
Right.
So,
and I think this is going to be really interesting to watch the Fantastic Four reception, because Fantastic Four, I don't think it looks amazing. I don't think it's going to be great.
I'd be 10 times more likely to see it if it didn't have Pedro Pascal in it. I cannot stand Pedro Pascal.
I don't mind him.
He's such a weird person.
He's kind of like looks like a rat, but like, I don't know. He's one of those like, that there's like this new genre of dude that just came out of nowhere in the last few years where they're just like, they just look like Roddy the Rat, like from Flushed Away. Yeah. They all look like him. It's him, Timothée Chalamet, like it's just who they, anyway. I don't think Fantastic Four looks amazing, but I think that
I just want a John Krasinski, dog.
Dude,
they set us up for that, and then like, how do you not follow up with that?
Oh, dog, it's so bad. I think this is kind of the difference. Is like, I think James Gunn is very good at reading the room and reading like the tone of like what an audience is looking for. He hit it on the head with Guardians. He even hit it with Suicide Squad, I feel. He hit it with all 3 Guardians. He knew exactly what we needed when we needed it. And then I think that Marvel just is like, Fantastic Four, and I'm like, what do you have to offer? They're like, well, it's found family. And I'm like, again? How many freaking like found family movies are you going to try to throw at us before you realize that's not what made the Avengers good? And it's like, the Avengers was never about found family. It was just superhero. Like, there was so much more.
It's also like, they're really trying to sell the Fantastic Four, and they've said like, oh, Reed Richards will be the leader of the Avengers in Avengers Doomsday. And I'm like, what do you mean? He gets one movie and now he gets to be in charge?
We're Captain Marveling him. Like,
why? I don't know anything about him. None of the surrounding characters know anything about him. Like, the reason the Avengers got put together in the first place was because like Nick Fury and S.H.I.E.L.D. rounded up all these people and brought them together and then unified them that way. Who is the unifying force right now?
Right.
I don't know. Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
It's so just, it's just stupid. And so I think that like a good point that you made that I think is just works in DC's favor is that Superman is not an origin story.
No.
Like, Superman is not, because we saw such a drought when we were trying to do the origin story thing again. And it was like, Shang-Chi is okay, and then like Black Widow was just not good. And then like, so all this stuff where James Gunn is like, Superman movie that is a good movie, a good story, a good Superman that isn't trying to start from the very beginning.
Right.
Like, we don't need to start from the very beginning. Just a good movie that has a good world to expand. The world building of Superman is amazing. It's so good. And all of the characters in it I would love to see again, like the Fantastic Squad or whatever the
Justice Gang.
The Justice Gang, that's what they're called. Like, that was hilarious. I would love to see all those characters again. Like, I would be in it. And apparently, and they're doing what I was afraid would happen is they're talking about making like a show on HBO about them. And I'm just like, please let me just go to the theater and follow. Like, I don't need to sit through every HBO show that you guys are making.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, HBO needs it though. Like, they need the content. Because they don't have the same content pull as like Disney does with Marvel. So I understand that's why they're trying to do it. I don't think it's a good idea, but I know they're trying to.
Remember back in the day when like Dune and like Snyder Cut and all this stuff was going to HBO Max and everyone was flocking there.
Which is called HBO Max again, by the way.
Stupid.
We've come all the way back around. I hate this company so much. They're so stupid.
We live in remediation. This is just... I hate it here. But, like, maybe if HBO, I feel like, was just the hub for Superman, like, and it kind of is, like, you can watch all the old Superman movies on there. Like, let it just be that. Let it breathe in that space. But then they're like, no, like, we need the streaming original stuff. And I'm like, like, I don't know if this is a hot take or not. Streaming originals is part of the reason streaming originals was a big reason that killed the superhero movie.
It's arguably what
world
like hit Marvel at the knees and brought them back down, because you have all these movies that are like, oh, like, what was it? I think Thunderbolts required you to watch a bunch of different shows. Like, you needed to have seen Hawkeye and like all these other shows, and like, it's just like the required watching became too much. And like, think back to pre-Endgame. Like, all you had to do for Marvel was just watch the last movie. So if you weren't caught up by like Captain Marvel, all you had to do was watch the back catalog of movies. That's it. You don't have to be like, all right, well, let's get you a Disney Plus subscription and you can watch, WandaVision, Loki season 2, Hawkeye, What If, all these other shows.
Ironheart, freaking Echo, and all, like, whatever they're doing now. Which I'm just not tuned into anymore.
Nope, I don't care about Marvel, which is why I'm like on the fence about even going to see Fantastic Four.
I need to see it for educational reasons.
I need to see it because I have the Regal Unlimited pass for the next 4 months.
You got to get your money worth.
So I'm like, I might as well. It's basically free. Like,
right.
It's not gonna kill me. It's just
I don't
whether or
know.
not I want to go sit through it
Yeah.
or not.
So I think that like moving forward, DC has a huge opportunity to be. Do I want another huge cinematic universe? No, not really. But I think they have an opportunity to make some really great superhero movies moving forward. And I would hate for them to tarnish that by thinking that they have to do the cinematic universe thing where it all interconnects and everything is connected to everything. And this guy knows this guy and he's friends with him. And if you didn't watch this HBO show, this movie makes no sense and you don't know why we're here. And it's just not.
Because that's what killed him the first time.
This is what killed him the first time.
But also,
was like,
what I think is interesting is James Gunn has said, like, when it comes to video games, right?
Yeah.
If they make a Superman game, that's the same Superman that's in the movie. Like, they're
Right.
not doing these multi-different versions of characters. It's all the same.
the same.
So it is a connected universe, but it's a consistent universe. And I
Yeah.
think that seeing how that plays out is interesting because then it's like, well, does the video game become required playing, or do you set it up in a way that it's
Right.
like a side adventure that doesn't have to be mentioned in the next movie? Because I don't think
Which is how that's how Star Wars operated pre-sequels. Was you could watch the prequels and the original trilogy and that could work, but if you wanted additional viewing, you could watch the Clone Wars and you could watch, these other extensions of the universe where it's like, oh, I want more context. I want to fill in those gaps. Cool. But then they're like, yeah, you have to have played the Battlefront 2 story to understand where we are in The Last Jedi. And I'm like, shut up.
Yeah, that was really stupid.
Why? So
I hate that they did that. That was so dumb.
Yeah. So I don't know.
We'll see where DC goes from here. I don't know what their next movie is. Let me look.
I think they announced a Supergirl movie.
What is the next?
James Gunn did announce a Supergirl movie for, I think, 2026.
Yeah, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. June 26, 2026. This
That's
film
pretty
will be a
close.
part of the new DC universe and will feature a darker take on the Supergirl character.
Oh.
Well, I mean, come on. At the end of the movie, he was like, yeah,
was
she's
drunk,
going
yeah.
out to drink and blah, 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 blah. Like,
Yeah. I don't know. But I'm also like, they talked about doing a Clayface movie that was just like straight up a horror movie.
The Batman Part 2, which is October 1st, 2027.
Yeah, but that's not connected.
I think it is.
It's not connected. No, he said that the Batman that will interact with this Superman is not Robert Pattinson.
Did he say that?
He did say that.
Okay.
Unless I'm just making that up. I'm pretty sure he said
Hold
that.
on. Let's fact check here. We always got to fact check, cite our sources. Let me go to the most reliable.
No,
okay.
I just want to spread
IGN, let me out of
misinformation.
your website. Okay, fine. Be that way. I didn't care. I didn't want to go back anyway. Is the Batman part of DCU? Okay. James Gunn says that the Batman will not be Robert Pattinson for the DCU.
Yep.
So you were right.
Yep. So
He says
I don't
Brave
know.
and the Bold and any additional DCU Batman movies will not release the same calendar year as Matt Reeves' Batman movies. So they're doing a different Batman for the DCU, but they're not going to release them at the same time as the Matt Reeves ones so that people don't get confused, which I think is fair.
I think that's based, yeah. Also, like, how many Batmans do we need? Like
a lot. Listen, we got to make up for lost time. We didn't get a Batfleck movie.
Yeah,
We got to make up for lost
But
time.
also, sorry, I don't know. He was a bad Batman though. Like, I did not like him as.
Come on,
Batman
you telling me
at
you didn't like
all.
Batman screaming Martha? That wasn't
No.
it for you?
No, no. Okay, unless you have anything else to add,
No, I think I'm good.
I think it's time to wrap it up, guys. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Nerdiest Podcast. If you like what you see here, please follow us on Instagram or YouTube at the Nerdiest Podcast and watch on YouTube because we're super close to the monetization requirement. If you have thoughts on Superman, please comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. If you agree, disagree, like, we love reading your comments. We do read all of them, even if we don't get to respond. So thank you so much. We will see you in the next episode. But until then, bye.